Hello everyone and welcome to my CSU channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Todd Chrisley admits he threatened another inmate while in prison. Todd Chrisley has admitted that he threatened another inmate while he was in federal prison. This is shocking for fans to hear, as Todd is not a violent person. However, he was not playing around, and he was dead serious when it came to what he said. He will always stand up for and protect his children. This is exactly what he was doing. There is a lot to unfold and uncover when it comes to this. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. Todd Chrisley is ready to speak his truth. Todd Chrisley was in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud. However, he was pardoned along with his wife, Julie Chrisley. The two got out and have been putting their lives back together piece by piece. Since his release, Todd has been open to talking about his experience. However, he is still denying that he and his wife did anything wrong. Although he is not afraid to talk about his experiences in prison or how it was without his family. Fans have been keeping up with them since their show, Chrisley Knows Best. So they do have a lot of people supporting them now that they are out. Todd Chrisley has admitted that he threatened another inmate while he was in federal prison. In fact, it was William Rick Singer who is known for his college admission scandal. The two kind of got into it before. However, he was talking crap on Savannah and Todd was not going to stand for it. The two did not have problems after that. However, Todd was not messing around when it came to putting his foot down. He did not want anyone talking badly about his children. It seems as though Todd was not messing around with someone talking badly about Savannah. He put his foot down immediately, and the situation never occurred again. He was going to defend his daughter. He was already in prison, so he did not mind doing what he had to do. Thankfully, it never came to that point. However, he was prepared to do whatever he had to. What do you think about this situation? Are you shocked that Todd said this? The quiet hum of the federal prison rec room was broken only by the clack of chess pieces and the dull thump of basketballs echoing from the yard. Todd Chrisley sat at a metal table in his perfectly pressed khaki uniform, a half-empty cup of bitter coffee cooling in front of him. His posture was impeccable, the kind of upright dignity he kept through years of reality TV fame and scandal. But today, that dignity had a razor edge. "I'll be honest," Todd began, leaning forward, his voice low but steady. "I threatened him. I'm not proud, but I'm not sorry either." The him in question, an inmate known around the compound only as Rico. A man with an ego as big as his muscles and a reputation for running little operations from the inside. And according to Todd, Rico had made the grave mistake of thinking Todd Chrisley was just another soft-spoken, easy target. "He came up to me while I was folding laundry in the common room," Todd recalled, his southern drawl curling each word. "Said I owed him for using his detergent. Never mind that the detergent was from the commissary, and I paid for it with my own funds." It started small, a smirk, a remark, a friendly warning. Rico had a way of testing new people, seeing if they'd bend or break. Most bent. Todd didn't. "You have to understand," Todd said, his voice tightening. "When you're in here, every little thing is a message. If you let someone take your detergent, next thing you know, they're taking your shoes. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Not in this lifetime." The confrontation came later that evening after dinner. Todd was heading back to his bunk when Rico blocked the hallway, flanked by two of his buddies. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on the walls. "He told me I could settle my debt by washing his clothes for the week. Like I'm some kind of personal valet," Todd said with a small, incredulous laugh. "I told him I already have a job in here, keeping myself alive and sane." Rico stepped closer. His breath was hot with the smell of cafeteria chili, his voice a low rumble. "You gonna make this hard, Chrisley?" That was when Todd said it, the line that's now making the rounds in hushed whispers throughout the prison. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "If you put one more toe into my personal space, I will make sure you regret it every single day until you leave this place, or I do." It wasn't shouted. It wasn't dramatic. But in prison, the quiet threats carry more weight than Todd said plainly. "Not because I'm some violent man. I'm not. But because I've learned that your voice is your first and most important weapon, and mine still works just fine." The standoff ended when a corrections officer rounded the corner, dispersing the group before it could escalate. But the story didn't die there. By morning, Todd's warning had spread through the block. Some laughed, calling him TV preacher man with the silver tongue. Others respected it, noting that Todd hadn't backed down, even against someone like Rico. "Look, I know the optics," Todd admitted. "People will hear Todd Chrisley threatened another inmate and think I've turned into some kind of prison boss. That's not it. This wasn't about power. It was about boundaries. But boundaries in prison are a tricky thing. Too soft, and you become a mark. Too hard, and you paint a target on your back." Todd seems to be aiming for the thin, dangerous middle ground. "I'm walking a line every single day," he said, tapping the table lightly with one finger. "You want to be respected, not feared. But sometimes, to earn respect, you have to be willing to be feared for a moment." Inmates have since noticed a shift. Rico hasn't approached Todd again. He still glares when they pass in the hall, but there's a mutual understanding now, an invisible line neither will cross. "It's funny," Todd said with a half smile. "I spent years in the outside world trying to avoid conflict, smoothing over tension, making people comfortable. In here, it's the opposite. Comfort can get you hurt. You've got to be just uncomfortable enough to keep the wrong people at bay." Still, Todd knows that one threat, no matter how effective, doesn't make him untouchable. There's always someone testing the waters. Always someone thinking they can make a name for themselves by pushing you. When asked if he regrets the incident, Todd paused for a long moment before answering. "No," he said finally, "because I set a precedent. And because I wasn't bluffing. I may not be built for brawls, but I'm built for strategy. And in here, that's half the battle." He leaned back in his chair, a faint glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. "Besides, I grew up in the South. We know how to deliver a threat wrapped in manners. It's an art form." Some staffers have quietly commented that Todd has been surprisingly adept at adapting to the social chess game of prison life. His background in business, reality TV, and navigating celebrity drama seems to have given him a knack for reading people quickly and responding with precision. "Here's the truth," Todd said, finishing the last sip of his cold coffee. "I didn't come here to make friends, but I also didn't come here to be a victim. People can say what they want about me on the outside, but in here, my word still carries weight, and that's enough to keep the peace most days." As he stood to leave, the conversation drifted back to the ordinary: laundry schedules, commissary orders, a new rule about rec time. But the air still held a charge, as though the echoes of that hallway standoff lingered. For now, Todd Chrisley walks the fine line he's carved for himself: firm, unshaken, and just dangerous enough to be left alone. And if anyone doubts he means business, well, they can ask Rico.